Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to some more StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Now a couple days ago I made a video explaining the current state of Zerg vs Terran, and in this video I want to be explaining the current state of Zerg vs Zerg, because quite honestly I haven't really been uploading very many Zerg vs Zergs at all, and that is not because I'm not playing them on the ladder or whatever, or because I'm not seeing it very often, but most of the games seem to end right around 5, 6, 7 minutes in ZVZ, and they're not very interesting. So in this specific game I got an opponent known by the name of Hazard. He's gonna be playing a bit of a different build than we see from the standard right now in ZVZ, and in this video I want to be going over why that is currently the standard, and you know what I can foresee I guess in the future to be the standard as well when the meta changes a little bit. So as it is right now, the current normal Zerg vs Zergs are dominated by Zergling baneling aggression, and that used to be the case in Wings of Liberty early on as well, and as well in Heart of the Swarm. However, we had one massive difference right here, and that is the fact that Spore Crawlers could actually deal with Mutalisks. Okay, you may be a little confused right here, like why do Zergling baneling aggression have anything to do with Spore Crawlers? Well, the normal transition in Heart of the Swarm is to go from Zergling baneling aggression, you trade relatively even, you go into Roaches, and the Roaches actually allow you to hold on to your third base, and you know the Zergling player is simply gonna fall behind once the Roach upgrades kick in. As it is right now in Zerg vs Zerg, if you're going mass Zergling, the correct transition in the mid game, if you even get to the mid game, is usually gonna be the massive amount of Mutalisk. Mutalisks right now are much easier to play because Spore Crawlers do about half as much damage as they used to in the past. Basically, obviously, Spore Crawlers used to 3-shot a Mutalisk in Heart of the Swarm, and as it is right now, I think it takes about 6 shots or so, or maybe 5 shots for a Spore Crawler to kill a Mutalisk, and it just makes the Mutas infinitely stronger in the matchup. So most of the time what you see right now is people not able to transition towards Roaches at all, because the Zerglings usually will keep their third base at bay as well because of the map design, but on top of that, Mutalisk obviously will be much more powerful, as you can actually just simply max out on them. Now there is a couple of changes as well that we will go over in a little bit, but for the most part, Zerg vs Zerg is dominated by Zergling aggression. And the funny thing is that we are seeing the exact same thing that used to happen in Heart of the Swarm as well, where players are just simply gonna make a ton of Zerglings and then, you know, play Zergling baneling aggression. But over the last couple of weeks, what has become the standard is actually +1 attack Zerglings versus, you know, unupgraded Zerglings. You will be significantly stronger. And people have also started transitioning towards double upgraded Zerglings and then eventually into a lair. But honestly, I don't really want to pull a number out of my ass, really, but I think it's at least 9 out of 10 games where the games just simply end at Zergling baneling aggression. Now in this specific game, my opponent is doing the exact same thing as I've been doing so far. I'm gonna be going for +1 attack, and my opponent is gonna be going for a Zergling Roach baneling attack. And you know, like you may already be able to imagine right now, it's not gonna end very well for him because you know he just simply won't have enough stuff to hold on. So the standard play in Zerg vs Zerg in Heart of the Swarm is a +1 speed Roach timing attack off of 2 bases, and that is good for multiple reasons. First off, once you get +1 attack on Roaches, they will be able to deal with Zerglings in 2 shots rather than 3. So you know, if you have +1 attack on Roaches, they will kill them significantly faster. But as it is right now, if you are going for massive amounts of Zerglings and your opponent has decided to go into Roaches, there's really no way for them to hold on to a third base. So at this point, I see my opponent move out with a lot of Zerglings already. I'm just simply gonna start non-stop amounts of units right now myself, and I'm just gonna, you know, maybe squeeze in a couple drones here and there until when my third base finishes. But basically, my idea right now is to just make more and more and more Zerglings, knowing that if my opponent is gonna switch into Roaches, I will have a great time with my upgraded Zerglings, knowing that if my opponent is gonna switch into Mutalisks, my Zerglings with upgrades will also be great. There's really no proper transition from the massive amounts of Zergling play, and if everyone has like reasonable micro, so let's say I have good micro, my opponent has good micro as well, we're gonna trade relatively even. As soon as my upgrade kicks in, I will be at the severe upper hand right there, and if my opponent is gonna put down a lair as well, for example, he's just gonna be in a ton of trouble, because at that point he's investing a ton of resources to get less Zerglings, so to say, right? So the Zerg vs Zerg metagame right now, predominantly Zergling versus Zergling fights. It's A, because of the current map design, where the third bases are a little bit wonky and there's in-base expansions and backdoor rocks and all these kind of things. Current map pool is not that great. And B, the Spore Crawlers actually got nerfed significantly versus Mutalisk, making Roach transitions in the mid game very, very uncommon, and only really allowing your opponents to go for all in. So right here, I see my opponent moving out with a ton of Roaches. My +1 attack is actually timed perfectly for this upgrade to finish up right when the roaches arrive at my doorstep. So there's about, I think it's about 10 seconds right there or 20 seconds right there remaining on the Zerglings melee attack upgrade. I just have to make sure that I don't run all of my Zerglings into the banelings, and if I manage to do that, great, I will be able to pick up another victory right here. And that is what most of the Zerg for the Zergs are about. So I haven't really been uploading very much ZVZs for this very reason. Most of the games seem to end right around this time right here. Trying to micro a little bit reasonable against what is going on from my opponent right now. But I know very well that my Zerglings are going to be much too powerful for my opponent to deal with at this point in the game. So I'm just going to produce non-stop Zerglings. Obviously his reinforcements will not be arriving very quickly here at all. Unless he's going for Zerglings, which confidently or conveniently get killed very easily by my own Zerglings with +1 attack. And if my opponent would have gone, you know, let's say for a third base, I would have been playing a lot of heavy Zergling to try and take down that third base. The only real way I have seen transitions from this stage is when opponents are going for like multiple spine crawlers in the third base. But I think I could just simply transition towards Mutalisks at that point and still be 100% safe. So there's like a couple of different things that haven't really been discovered yet in Zerg for the Zerg, but it feels to me right now that it's a little bit too punishing to transition from the massive amount of Zerglings into really anything else, because the mass Zerglings, well, they both counter Zerg versus Zerg Mutalisk, as we already saw, and they also counter Roaches in early gameplay. And if you're gonna try and get them a little bit later, so you're gonna go for like a +1 Roach speed timing attack, the third base is just simply gonna kick in for me, and I will still be able to make literally just too much stuff for them to really be dealing with. So Zerg vs Zerg meta right now, as it is in Legacy of the Void, pretty plain, pretty unexciting, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some sort of transitions in the near future. Now, I haven't really been talking about that yet, but for example, one thing you can be countering Mutalisks with, if it does go past the mid game, so like mid to late game, is Vipers. Vipers are extremely good with the Parasitic Bomb to be killing the Mutalisk, and on top of that, I've seen a couple of players, such as Stevano actually, go for double upgraded Zerglings early on, then transition into Lurkers in the mid game, and the Lurkers obviously deal with everything on the ground as well, once again making Roach is a very hard transition to, but they also deal with the Mutalisk play relatively well. So there's some cool transitions, but I think at least 90% of my games are ended in this fashion right here, which is the very reason why I haven't been uploading very much Zerg vs Zerg at all myself to this YouTube channel. Now let me know down below the like button in the comments section if you are facing a very similar build as well. I wonder if this is true for all of the leagues, because for me, it seems to be very similar in every single game. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!